for this. Cool. So today so this is another recommendation. I don't actually remember who specifically I got it from. But it was funny because sometimes you guys are so aligned, it like scares me. Like, I feel like when everybody's sick, when everybody's like super frantic and like it just happens all at once, and then like, I don't know, it just comes in waves. So it's really interesting to me when I do check-ins. I'm like, holy shit, everybody is so aligned. So hopefully this can make us feel a little bit less alone. But today's call is all gonna be about maintaining productivity and that doing mindset. Doing, gotta get shit done, like, but also balancing with the feeling of things as well. So a little bit of masculine and feminine energy. Now these terms might be new to some people. Usually a lot of times when we think masculine and feminine, we think of like how we actually present ourselves. So it could be a fashion sense or like things like this. This has nothing to do with that. We're just talking about masculine of actually doing and feminine of feeling and how we can tend to balance the two. The beautiful part about masculine and feminine energy is that most of you here, and honestly, a lot of women, a lot of high achieving women will just have that masculine energy take over a little bit too much. So we want to balance that out. And that's honestly something that I struggled with for a long time because I'm a doer, I'm a grinder, like everything was just always so much of that I never really gave myself space and I never really gave myself time. And I found myself feeling very anxious throughout the day. So again, these are things that have worked for me to just maintain the same level of productivity, but not feel like I'm losing my mind throughout the day. But long intro, let's start with some wins in the chat. So in the chat, one win that you have had in the past 7 days, it could be in the gym, it could be with your nutrition, maybe it's in your personal life, maybe professional life, maybe you just started this journey, maybe it's your first call, maybe you just hit, I don't know, anything. You hit a PR, any win that you've had in the past 7 days. What's mine? What's mine? What is mine? I just thought of it before. Mine is, my win is that I finally moved into my apartment and we were able to move every box. And these boxes were so heavy, so heavy. So it made me feel like really cool being able to actually move these boxes. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Strong enough to move these boxes. Worked out 3 times despite being away. Love that. After a repeat weekend, I weighed in at 194 instead of 197. Okay, progress. My productivity has been amazing. Getting the things I want to do and going to bed early. Oh, that's amazing. That's where I have lacked my sleep. My sleep has not been where it should be. I completed all 3 workouts last week. Yes. Did my first actual bench press, 60 pounds. That's sick. That's really good. I made it today to the gym and tracking food. Awesome. Amazing. I'm feeling good this week as well. My period just ended. I'm in my follicular phase and I love that when I am going into the gym. So let's get into it today. Let me share my screen. If at any point you want to ask a question or share or anything, feel free, or you can put it in the chat. How can I make this bigger? No. Okay, cool. So today we are talking being productive yet peaceful and creating more space in your day. Again, a recommendation from you guys. I love the recommendations that you give me. So let's get into it. So what we are really focusing about today is stepping out of the lack mindset that drives the hustle, the grind, the burnout, and allowing ourselves to rest and do less in order to achieve more. Sometimes when we think rest, sometimes when we think giving ourselves space or giving ourselves a day off or whatever the case may be, it can make us feel like we are not doing enough. Right, so we're constantly grinding, we're constantly working, we're constantly hustling, we're constantly doing things. But if, again, we are not allowing ourselves to rest, we are going to burn out. And great, you're getting shit done. That's amazing. But what is that if you're feeling super exhausted, if you feel mentally burnt out, if you're like just not feeling happy with all of the things that you're doing? So you can raise your hands virtually, you can put the little thing if you would like. How many of you? So how many of you have felt guilty when taking a day off? This is me times a million, I'm like all of these. How many of you try to work out or have tried to work out while being sick? Definitely try that, because we have to do more. How many of you feel like you could go through your whole entire day and still end the day feeling like you didn't do enough? That was me times like 10,000. How many of you fear resting because you feel you will fall behind or lose progress? How many of you have thoughts of being not good enough? And how many of you rush often and sometimes for literally no reason? Like you're just rushing. That is, again, was my life. So as we can see from there, you are not alone. All right, so this is that hustle culture. This is that grind culture. This is the motivational speakers that you see on Instagram that are like, wake up at 4 a.m. and like do, and like you're like, that's not how I have to live my life. I can be productive, but I can maintain my peace. So again, balancing that masculine versus feminine energy. And when we think of these two, masculine energy is everything doing. Doing, taking action, structure, you're competitive, you are building, you have will, you have control. So everything that you are doing on a day-to-day, when you show up to the gym, when you show up to work, when you literally are getting things done, when you are trying to apply for jobs, when you're making money, like everything doing is your masculine energy. Now, feminine energy is being. It's your intuition, it's your emotion, it's feeling, it's creativity, it's rest, and it's nurture. The difficult thing is, as very high achieving women, we don't allow ourselves that feminine balance because we constantly think that we have to do and do and do and do. And then we start hitting that wall because we are not allowing for that intuition and that nurture. So we really want to focusing on how can we balance the two? How can I do and also feel? Because when we are constantly doing and we are thinking, what happens is we are just like in our heads. We are not actually present with our body. We are not present with how we are feeling, right? And we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But all of the things that I just mentioned, again, a lot of you raise your hand for this. And when we find things like, when you're reading this now, and as I was probably saying it, you're probably like, damn, that's kind of ridiculous of me. You're like, why? Like, why am I feeling this way? But what's important is when we find anything that we don't really love that we're doing, we have to figure out, where is this coming from? So when we talk about like diet culture, it's like, wait, why am I feeling like something that came up recently? Like I was talking to this woman, she's like, for lunch, I have this small salad and I have this small this, and I'm like, where is this coming from that you feel that you have to eat small? Right, so then we start to think about these. Everything that we kind of experience that is putting us into the lot, where is this coming from? And for a lot of us, just some examples, it could be coming from the classroom. It could be coming from sports. It can be coming from your parents, maybe the way that they pushed you. So you're always taught to get better grades, right? You are always taught to, I can't even read that. Oh, what just happened? Sorry. Okay. Ooh. Just find my mojo. I was in a groove. Okay, so we were always taught to be better than our competition, right? To not cry, to do more to get into a good school. Don't sleep until your work is done. We get fear of missing out. Like, where is this coming from that we feel that we consistently have to do? Where is that coming from? For me, it really came from school. Well, sports. I was a sports girl my whole entire life, and my parents pushed me so hard in sports, which is great, but sometimes, again, it didn't allow me for that feminine energy. So again, you can think about this later tonight when you're journaling. Now that you know where it's coming from, it's very important that we start to rewire. And we start to incorporate more of that peaceful, positive, feminine energy. And before I get into that, I kind of want to explain it more on the science end, because I'm personally a science girl. And when it makes sense in the sense of science, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, cool. Like, this is making sense. So our nervous system. Right, there are two sides to our nervous system. There is our sympathetic nervous system and there is our parasympathetic nervous system. When your sympathetic nervous system is fired, that is your fight or flight. Your body is stress, it's cortisol, it's adrenaline, right? When it's doing, you're focused. You'll probably notice, hey, you ever have a really busy day and you realize like, oh shit, I have not gotten hungry. It's been 6 hours. I haven't eaten, right? Because your body is under that stress, it is doing. Now, our parasympathetic nervous system, this is when you are resting and digesting. This is when you are in a calm state. But look at all the beautiful things that also happen when we are in that parasympathetic nervous system. This benefits our hormones. This benefits our heart, our blood pressure. This is where our body actually recovers. And when we think about this in actual terms of exercise, right? Sympathetic, if you are ever working out, and I've mentioned this to a lot of people, some people are like, yeah, I love to work out. It just really relaxes me. Yes, technically, but it's also stress for your body. You are breaking down. We are increasing your heart rate, right? We are in that sympathetic. We need to balance that out with parasympathetic, or that muscle that you are breaking down will never build. That food that you're having is not getting properly digested if you are under stress. And this is why a lot of women also will experience gut issues. Because we are so driven, we are always working, we skip lunch, or maybe we have lunch and we are still stressed and our body isn't able to digest. I've even had cases here where we go through a very stressful time and it's like, Nicole, I'm eating and nothing is sitting well with me. That has nothing to do with what you're eating. It has everything to do with what you are doing around the times that you are eating. Right, so we want to think of that that sympathetic is the doing, but we have to balance it out with the feeling in order to actually build, in order to actually digest, in order to actually have some beautiful hormones that are responding really well in our bodies. Okay, so when we think of Project Fitchick, I've mentioned this to you, you want to think of it as a triangle. You want to think of it as different levels. And at the bottom base of this journey, at the bottom base, we cannot get anywhere if you are not mastering the bottom base, and that is your stress and sleep. If you are stressed, if you're not sleeping, if you're not organizing, if your schedule is just everywhere, then your nutrition is not, we can't adjust your nutrition, right? It's not just like, hey, increase calories, decrease calories, right? It's, wait, are you scheduling your day? Are you sleeping enough? And then comes the training. So at the bottom base, in order to get nutrition to be optimized, in order to then get training to be optimized, we have to make sure that we are optimizing stress and sleep. The difficult part, again, I mentioned, when we are so masculine energy, we think something is not working. Is it my calories or should I work out more? Like, no, you're not sleeping. No, you're super stressed. But when we can optimize all of these three things, right, that is the energy. That is the higher self, right? I'm sleeping, I'm organized, I'm peaceful, I'm getting my work done, I'm getting my workouts done, I'm eating, I'm making time to eat, I'm not eating when I'm stressed from work 5 minutes after without even taking a breath. That is that higher self energy. If you are not stopping to feel, breathe, rest, nurture, and be creative, you cannot do, compete, build, and control. And this is where a lot of us run into. If you do manage to compete, to build, to control, to work, to grind, to do everything, what happens if we're not allowing that feeling, that breathing, that resting, that nurturing, that creativity, you're gonna feel tired. You're gonna feel busy. You're gonna feel that lack of, that stuck, that how am I managing to get everything done in my day, but I still feel like I didn't do enough because you haven't even stopped to take a breath of air. Because you've been rushing from your shower, from your workout to the shower to get ready, to drive to work, to like everything, you haven't even realized like, that was a good workout. This meal is really good. So, like I always say, you will always have a lot going on. I will never take that away from you. You will always have a lot going on, and this journey here and your goals are just adding a little bit more on top of that. So we need to learn to also manage these things. So how can we balance that masculine and feminine energy to be productive yet peaceful? I think I've told you guys my mantra for last year was work less, create more. Because I've always been work to get your goals, work all the time. And I was just so tired of it. I literally got to a point where it's like, this can't be it. I can't create the life that I want to live while just feeling stressed all the time and feeling tired all the time. So how can we balance this out? Number one is slow down. And this may be something that at first you have to do consciously. I have the words tattoo. I have the words I have breathe tattooed on my wrist. Because it was something that I was like, I realized I can be so short of breath and so anxious because I'm constantly stressing about everything that I have to do. So obviously you don't have to tattoo breathe on your wrist to remind yourself to breathe, but remind yourself to breathe, right? So give yourself more time to do things. I'm gonna do another call too about like waking up in the morning because this is something that I do as well. Give yourself more time to do things. So if you're waking up to go to the gym and you have to leave at like, I don't know, 6:30 and you wake up at 6 and you literally have to brush your teeth, get ready, drink a water and step out. What if we wake up at 5:50 so you can sit on the couch and just take a breath there? What if you plan to go to work or you give yourself a little bit more wiggle room in your schedule so that you can just chill? Right? So that's number one. Number two is keep yourself a buffer period. I just mentioned that. And then number three, I said these all backwards, but you can kind of get the gist. Number two, again, balancing that out, scheduling and visualizing. All right, so what we don't want to leave is a cloud of worry above our heads. So sometimes, again, we get on calls and it's like, oh, I have so much going on. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, how am I gonna, my workout, I have to do this, I have to do this. And all we do is just take everything you have to do in your day and put it into a schedule. Right, and it seems so simple, but when you have so much going on, how can you take that cloud that's above your head and put it somewhere? I'm a pen and paper kind of girl because if not, I feel like I love lists. If I have to do stuff, I have to cross it out. I have to see it on a list because now it's not that cloud of worry. It's just like, that's what I have to do. And I'm just going to do one thing at a time. Right. So we schedule and visualize to show ourselves that everything is under control. Because bringing it back to that masculine and feminine energy, sometimes you have things way more under control than you even give yourself credit for. Like you're going to work, you're doing your workouts, you're hitting your calories, you're doing this. Yes, you're busy. Yeah, you probably didn't get that much time in your day to really just hang out and it's time for bed. But you do have things under control. But sometimes it can feel like we're not under control simply because we are not actively scheduling. And the next thing is journaling. Positive affirmations of the new you. If you feel like somebody that is constantly rushing, every single morning, tell yourself, I give time for myself and I don't need to rush to get to where I want to be. And I will make it on time. Tell yourself that every single morning. And that's exactly how you are going to start showing up. Any type of affirmation. I used to always tell myself, I am calm. Because I was literally such a high sprung human being. So I would write it down. I think I wrote it down for like 3 months straight. I am calm. I have everything under control. I take deep breaths during the day. And it was just a simple affirmation, kind of like me telling myself to do these things until I actually became that. So if you feel like you're not giving yourself enough time, tell yourself, I give myself enough time in my day, and then schedule that time. Right? Now we can see how we can structure everything out, and everything that you have to do, you can do it. You're doing it anyways, but how can we do it in a way that brings us more peace? So here is some homework for you. mostly gonna be like a conscious thing. But some homework for you that I really want you to just test out, step into, see how it goes. Realize that you're gonna get the same amount of things done, if not more, because when you're at peace, you are even more productive, you are even more creative. You have even more energy to get everything done. So your homework for this week, find more ways to slow down while getting the same amount done. Who's I talking, last week, I was talking to Carla, she was mentioning how she cooks. She cooks in a rush, she's cooking, she has to do this, but she's like, why am I rushing? And I'm like, I used to do the same thing, why am I speeding right now in the car? I literally am gonna get there on time. Remind yourself to slow down. Bring that heart rate down, because if not, again, we are in that lack mindset. It could be while brushing your teeth, right? One of the best pieces of advice is that I ever got from like a yoga class one day, and I took it with me forever, is don't give away your peace so easily. And when we realize how quickly we can give our peace away, when somebody cuts us off in the car and you're like, and you're just like angry, like you just gave that person your peace. Somebody interrupted your schedule and you let it ruin your whole day, you just gave away your peace. So this week, how can I not give my peace away so easily? And maybe it's that 10 minutes of waking up early, just so you can sit on the couch. Right, while you're driving, let's slow down while you're waking up in the morning. But we wanna think, affirm. Anything lack, anything doing, anything driven, anything that's not allowing me to feel and to be this more chill, more present, more in tune human being. How can I remind myself that I am her? Affirm yourself of that. But positive affirmations can only get you so far. We have to actually implement. So with these, affirmations that you give yourself, also, if you're feeling very frantic and you're feeling like everything that you're doing is not getting done, or you're not feeling like you have enough time, dive into your schedule. I write my schedule down hour by hour. The times that I usually, like literally my whole entire day, just so I know that it's in control, because if not, I feel very anxious. I feel like I'm not gonna have time for things. But now when I see it, I'm like, if I just follow this piece of paper, I'm gonna get everything done. And that's a skill as well. And slowing down. Slow down when you're brushing your teeth, when you're putting on your face wash, when you're putting on your lotion, when you're doing anything. How can we just slow down instead of like, right, just kind of doing whatever? And where's my last page? It was there. Damn, I just changed it. It was there though. The food is love and strength is power. I'll show it to you. I just made it and it was cute. There's. All right. How are you feeling? Sweating. I have to open the window, but it's really loud outside. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling zen? Are we feeling like, oh shit, I haven't been zen?
I feel like I resonated with a lot of that,
Yeah.
like in my soul. Especially because I definitely am guilty of giving my piece to other people. But I have like mini rants about it, like at my desk. Like, why are people so stupid? And then I like let it go. Or, sometimes I don't let it go. But I definitely feel like scheduling yourself and getting yourself into like a routine definitely helps. And I feel like I have more control over my life. We'll see how it goes in 6 months though. So
I feel like you've been getting better. So with Jen as well, we've kind of been working on that. I'm like, girl, do you even breathe before you like take a meal? Like before you take a bite? And it was just constantly this. And I think we had spoken about this a couple months ago. I'm like, I literally, all your homework is just remind yourself to breathe more often throughout the day. Put Post-its around, because for a lot of us, like I used to be the same way. We are so high sprung that where is the breath? So I appreciate you opening up about that.
yeah. And maybe changing my job would probably help, but that's
Yes, that's something a little different. We'll talk about as well. But it'll come. It'll come. It comes with the higher self. Anybody else? I'm gonna open this window real quick. So hold on. Oh, oh my gosh, I am dying. Anybody else have anything that works for them that they would like to share or want to open up? Again, I just kind of put a lot of these calls into my perspective. I know not everybody has the same personality trait as me. That's why I try to find different things, but opening up, I'm always here for it.
I have something.
You do.
Hi.
Go ahead.
So I think there are times when like we can be more efficient and there are times when we're just not. And I think allowing yourself, giving yourself enough grace and like being nice to yourself and like understanding like, hey, you tried your best. You know what? Today it just didn't get done. It's okay. Try again tomorrow. Because if we try to live up to some certain expectation that we think others kind of put on us, I mean, that's going to kill us. And that is that hustle culture, right? Like we're not doing enough, but it's like, who says? Prioritize your happiness and your peace. And, if you can fit it into your day, great. And if you can't, you try again tomorrow.
I love that. I like where you said like the pressure that other people put on ourselves, because I also think that it's pressure that we put on ourselves as well. And finding something that I've been working on with that is like, I've been talking about like my period often. And when we can be super productive, that those same cycles, that can work throughout your day, that can work throughout your month.
Yeah.
But understanding how your body fluctuates in your productivity and when you need
Right.
that back to feel is something so intuitive that I personally was never taught. I don't know about you guys, but it was just a pressure that I was putting on myself, not realizing what my body was actually feeling.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to pop in? I think Erica said, I think it was her, it was a while ago. She talked about like putting little affirmations around her house in post-its. This can be something as well that we can implement, just reminders. Maybe if you ever find yourself like, oh my God, I rush when I get ready for the gym, like maybe you're putting yourself a post-it on your closet, telling yourself to slow down, or in the bathroom, or before you leave the house, or in your kitchen, right? How can you just make these conscious reminders? Because if you're feeling any of this like high sprung energy, it's not just gonna go away. And you're not gonna leave this call like, yeah, I'm in my feminine energy and so intuitive. Like, you're gonna have to remind yourself until it becomes your new normal. But be patient and remind yourself, like, think of either that inner child or however you can think of yourself of like, this is my best friend. I need to nurture this being, but I also gotta get shit done. Like, how can we really put those two together? All right, last questions, other than today. It could be in the gym or literally anything. I think Rosie just take off.
Hi, yeah. I wanted to say to sort of add on to that, something that I think my therapist told me to do once was like, because I really struggle with procrastination. I'm a student and procrastinate with my work a lot of times. And she kind of similar to what you were talking about with like your inner child, where she said like, if you need to like pretend that you are your mother when it comes time to do something, you can like put who you like the way that you feel in this moment, you can kind of just like put that girl aside and just like play this role in your head of like, I'm the caretaker, I'm going to take care of you and do what has to get done, and like, I got it, you can go over there and relax, but like as the parent, I'm going to take over. And that really helped me kind of separating the two like sort of personalities or something in the moment.
I like that. I haven't really thought of that in terms of productivity and procrastination. I use that a lot, but it kind of is tied up together as to how we can view ourselves as somebody that we have to nurture more. I use it more of like when I'm looking in the mirror, for example. And if anybody struggles with this as well, where we look in the mirror, maybe we're not saying the nicest things, exactly how she just said, like, imagine yourself as a parent, and this is like your inner child. How are we nurturing that person, and how are we showing up for her? How are we getting her to trust us? And what would we do in that case, like what would we want, what would we have wanted somebody to help us with? We're doing that now. I appreciate that. I'm gonna do like a full inner child like call. That's been my recent thing. My therapist got me into it too. It's crazy, the things that we're not taught, I guess. Is that it? Anybody else have questions? Training, Jim, nothing has come up this week before I let you go, but I think that's it. If you do have questions, you guys can always message me, but again, remember that your homework this week is how can you find any ways to slow down? And you can put it in the chat. I love when we kind of take this week's homework. If you're like, hey, this week's homework, I put my face wash on and I counted a full 30 seconds and I was just breathing, like whatever it is for you, find ways to slow down in your day. And breathe more, right? Affirm, schedule, slow down. That's your homework. I will talk to you guys this week. Well, on check-ins. Thanks for coming to the call. Bye.